Sports Radio 560 WNSR.
Welcome back into the program. I love it. Tim shot the Thunder Swifts. And yes, Henry Vanilla Earthquake Nichols from the Planet Lovetron.
From Planet Lovetron.
Back in the building. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to say it, did you, AJ? Welcome back in. Sports Extra. Have a good time here. Tim Swift, Henry Nichols. Got a guest on the line, Henry.
We have Philip Flofenhofer, which I can't imagine was his name at the hospital, but that's okay. I think they all have pseudonyms there, which makes it more fun. At Elitist Jerk Sports, you can check them out at elitistjerksports.com. Flop, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are you?
We're doing pretty good down here, man. We haven't had any talk since the weekend. In fact, we barely got in due to some, basically on Friday we had a huge snow day. We were supposed to have on Flop on either Thursday or Friday to preview the Vanderbilt-Kentucky game, because he is up there in Big Blue country. How apropos is that for, at least with the Dynasty Defenders portion of the fan base, Elitist Jerks? How's the fan base feeling up there, Flop?
I'd say they're pretty good. They got over the whole John Wall fiasco after a couple days, but, they're always looking for something to worry about up here. And
just refresh for our listeners, because I think that's somewhat of a maybe a secondary story for some people. John Wall said that he wasn't having fun anymore.
Yeah, he had a comment where he said that he was getting frustrated, and he basically came across like he was wanting to ignore John Calipari just so he could play ball and do his thing. And obviously they got a few people up in arms, and he had to respond to that, and now they've all buried it and moved on. There's other things to worry about.
Flop, Tim Swift here. Thanks for coming on the show. I got a question to ask you, and I've watched a lot of Kentucky games this year. Talk a little bit about DeMarcus Cousins, and not just his play on the court, because his play on the court has been good. He's been a beast. But I've seen in several games this year, the Louisville game being one, and a couple other games where he gets sat down for technical fouls or maybe an extra dumb foul, and will really mouth off to Calipari. What's going on there? What's the situation with Cousins?
Well, I think, Calipari, supposedly, he has an environment where he allows input from his players. And I think some of those guys take that a little too literally, especially during games. But I think Cousins is a guy that, he has a lot of talent. He's used to getting by with a lot. He doesn't have a lot of patience, has a bad temper. So it's kind of just a bad combination with the immaturity. It all comes out, hopefully not at bad times for Kentucky fans' sake.
Now, I said that on the show that, and even though I did not predict Vanderbilt to win that game, although I thought they have looked like a top 10, top 15 team recently, that was probably one of the tougher road games any team is going to face all year. The number one team in the country, at least at that moment, coming off their first loss, one of the most talented teams ever put together, probably the best, arguably the best recruiting class ever. It's at Rupp Arena, which is never a tough place to play, and the king is sporting Kentucky blue.
Yeah. You guys had the deck stacked against you down there in Nashville. So, you get a mad team, a focused team that's that talented, and it's lambs to the slaughter. They've heard all the complaining, all the whining that you hear up here, and they just come out there and they're focused. They take out that frustration on Vanderbilt. And it wasn't Vanderbilt's fault. Vanderbilt's got a nice team, really, like you said, top 15 team. But when you come in there with that kind of talent, and it's focused and it's angry, there's no hope.
Now everybody's heard Flop. Everybody's heard. We're talking with Flop Flaufenhofer. Or some variation of the sort, editor of Elitist Jerk Sports. Check them out at elitistjerksports.com, or give our show a call. It's 844-5600. Everybody knows about John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, Flop. What about some of the other players who might not be getting as much publicity? Oh, including Patrick Patterson. Just talk about the performance, maybe to the early bench.
A guy that's really important for us, I think, is Darnell Dotson. He's one of the few pure shooters that we have on the roster. He's a guy that, once once we get into a game where people are really, an opponent is sticking to that zone, and we have to shoot them out of that zone. Guys like him and Darius Miller, who's a starter, but basically splits time with Dodson and Ramon Harris, guys like that off the bench at the 3 spot. They've got to shoot over those zones. They've got to break them out of that zone, to open up space down low for, the 3 big guys that we got.
And those are Kentucky's 2 main shooters, Dodson and Darius Miller?
Well, yeah, Bledsoe has been better than advertised, honestly, to this point. He was never really billed as a shooter coming out of high school. But he's a little inconsistent, even from the free throw line. So those basically are the 2 guys that we're really counting on to produce down the stretch.
Flop, I want to ask you this question. As a recent University of Memphis graduate, you might know how I might feel about John Calipari. He's not exactly my favorite coach on the planet, but that's another story for another time. Because I do find it funny with Kentucky fans. This time a year ago, when there was obviously rumors coming up about Gillespie being gone, when Kentucky was having a disappointing season, and Calipari's name came up, I had so many Kentucky fans tell me, Calipari's never coached in a BCS conference. I don't want that guy. He's not big time. And it's just so funny how the tables have turned once about April hit, and he was hired, and now he brought John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Bledsoe, and everybody else with him to Lexington. He's now the greatest coach in the world. Just talk about his impact and talk about how he deals with one of the toughest, college fan bases really in America.
Yeah, and honest to goodness, obviously it's hypocritical. What can you say about it? But you're paying the guy $4 million a year. You see the kind of recruiting, the kind of results he's producing. It's not something that – I know on the flip side of that, Memphis fans who basically worship the guy within, one split decision, it's all over. It's like he's dead to him. He's shady, he's terrible, he's dirty, all this stuff that's been thrown at them all these years.
Well, that's the same thing. That's the same way UT fans treated Lane Kiffin, even though all the signs of a eventual divorce were there, I would say, to begin with. But wait a second. I guess the thing that's going in my mind about this is if the ball drops, if the other shoe drops, and, Memphis, in addition to, wins being stripped and stuff like that, get a postseason ban, how badly is that going to look for Coach Cal, in the state of Kentucky from the Kentucky fan base?
Well, obviously there's no way it can look good. I think, honestly, it would depend on the situation behind it, how much knowledge he had, what was going on, what the specific issue was. If something like that does go down, something does come out that he's openly violated a rule, with his knowledge, if it's something that results in, probation, violations, big-time stuff, vacating wins, it's a bad thing for the fan base. It's bad for your record books. Really and truly, it's kind of just a slap on the wrist. When something big goes down, I think it will be on the UK administration to make a decision. If it comes out that he's done something that, has resulted in big-time sanctions, then I think they have a decision to make. And I think that's kind of the risk they took when they hired him. So it's kind of a wait-and-see approach with that.
Now, I guess one last question I wanted to ask you, Flop. One big thing I've been wanting to ask a knowledgeable Kentucky follower for a while is that, as I mentioned earlier, there is a segment of Kentucky's fan base, and every other SEC team knows this, especially in basketball, but it's specific to basketball, called the Dynasty Defenders. You've got Catman on YouTube. You've got some of the most obstinate, and just basically I've never seen a fan base or a segment of a fan base that feels you owe them your respect. You owe them your allegiance, even if they're starting five of your walk-ons. Can you talk about – and, now I'll say they're back on the mountaintop, and I'll give Kentucky all the credit in the world for what they are. I'm not sure if they have the experience to go deep into March, as some of them think they do in terms of just the chemistry, and because that's yet to be seen. But can you talk about, the whole that aspect of the phenomena in terms of what separates, Kentucky as a fan base in certain ways?
Well, obviously I think it's the same as you see with a Notre Dame fan, or a Yankees fan. It's an entitlement. You think that since you've had something for so long that you deserve it now. It's part of normal life, and, rational people really know that's not the truth. But, it's something that I think there's a segment of our fan base in particular that really takes it as life and death, that the bounce of the ball, wins and losses, basically determine how they're going to feel for the next week. And I mean, it's something where it's just really ingrained in us from birth up here. You're born a Kentucky fan or you're born a Louisville fan. There's a lot less of those. But and you're born into this. You see that it as a birthright. When you see people attack it or you see, that it's going down the wrong direction, you feel compelled to say something about it. And I don't think that's always present in every other fan base. But yeah, it's something where there's a portion of our fan base that really does take it, honest to goodness, they take it a little bit too seriously. And Kentucky fans are the most passionate, in basketball. They travel well. They support their team. I mean, obviously evidenced by the Haiti relief fund where we've raised over $1 million. I mean, there's great things that could come out of that passion too. So it's just a double-edged sword. You take the good with the bad, I guess.